Hey everybody! Welcome back to Northernlion Plays, the Binding of Isaac AFTERBIRTH Plus. We're gonna be Eden today. You heard of this character? Wow, she's amazing. Eden, I'm a mitt. AMLC VVE8. Steam sale. Good rate of fire, good luck. And good luck to you as well, sir. Monster Manual, not a great item. Shot speed is actually... You know you're in a weird state when you even comment on the shot speed when you start a run, but it's only because of the fact that our shot speed is so unusually low that I find... Oh, jeez. I find myself even questioning the situation right here, but I think the run has more than enough potential to take off. It needs either range or shot speed. It needs a little regular speed, and probably quite a lot of actual damage if we could manage to swing that. But it's not bad. I mean, it is Basement XL, so be careful, but I've gone back and forth on this several times in my Isaac career, but like, I'm starting to think that rate of fire, they're two sides of the same coin. You know, like when you go to a restaurant, two things are important. Portion size and the quality of the food. And everybody's had examples of a restaurant where one or the other was way off base. I've been to some very fancy restaurants in my time. I don't know if you know this, I'm a very important person. I'm a celebrity. When I go to events, I'm treated like a celebrity. I say, hey, excuse me, PR person, would it be okay if I got the double cheeseburger instead of the single? And they say, that's all right, but you're paying for the extra patty out of pocket. And I say, is good to be the king, baby. But yeah, you know, sometimes you go to a fancy restaurant and you're like, ooh, a pancetta wrapped halibut. That sounds fantastic. I'll have that. Then it comes out and it's like 2 bites. And you're like, these are some of the most delicious bites I've ever had in my entire life. I just wish that there was more. Or that you gave me the 2 bites of fish and then like, you know, a whole potato on the side or something like that. And there's definitely been places, not gonna name names, there's a very popular restaurant in Burnaby, British Columbia, just outside of Vancouver. People line up, you know, for 45 minutes to an hour to get into it. I don't think it's very good, but it's okay, and the reason that it's so popular is that it's decent, and then for like $10, the portion size that you get is out of this world. You know? It's kind of like the opposite is when you got the, you know, oh, what terrible food, and yeah, the portion sizes are so small as well. Haha, ba-dum-bum-ch, etc., etc. I think we should try to fight the boss right away. I think we're ready. Dry Baby as an item, not that good, but 2020, I mean, look, I'm not insulting Dry Baby, it's bailed us out many a time in our lives, but 2020, of course, is just a standout. It's a stellar one. My favorite kind of restaurant is a restaurant, usually, like, because it's hard to get, like, really, really, really 10 out of 10 good food that also has the kind of portion size that allows me to gorge myself to my heart's content. That's why my favorite kind of restaurant is a restaurant that's, like, above decent and serves a lot of food with every dish. And I hate to say, it's kind of a North American stereotype, it's very gluttonous, but I will admit, I kind of do you know how people, when they play games, they go like, oh, well, $10 for 2 hours, that's not a great value. We can't buy a real deal with the devil for the life of us, but maybe that's okay here. Also, we got Magic Mush, which is exquisite, but we verped a one makes you small pill. And we're ready to go, actually, 3 minutes into this floor, which is unusually quick, but maybe we'll explore a little bit more as a result. You know, when I eat a meal, sometimes I find myself saying, I'll give you a great example. Kate and I were at the grocery store yesterday because we just came back from, I don't need to explain myself why I was at the grocery store. We're human beings, we consume carbon to stay alive, okay? But, you know, we just came back from being away, so we were pretty much out of groceries. Don't take that yet, I got a plan. We were pretty much out of groceries, so we had to go to the grocery store, and we saw some Lunchables. Kate was like, maybe I'll get some Lunchables. It's been forever since I had them, and I'm not gonna... Oh, do this. I'm not gonna be the one to say no, you know, grown adult. You can't buy your own Lunchables. That would be ridiculous. As much as you might think I have some draconian, you know, food standards, I also, you know, recognize what's good for me in this life. But the reason we didn't is we did like a cost-benefit analysis, and we're like, the Lunchables, and I'm talking about the cracker, ham, and cheese Lunchables, the originals. It was 2 for $8. That means it was $4 for a Lunchable that consists of like 4 crackers, 4 slices of ham, 4 little slices of cheese, and then like a Capri Sun and a miniature Nestle Crunch bar. You know how many calories are in a Lunchable? 270. I looked at the back. I'm gonna try. I shouldn't do this, but I'm gonna do it. You got me, okay? I don't often get got, but you got me. I'm gonna try this as well. Let's try, like, getting this pill. Not bad, actually. So we decided not to get it because I was like, that's $8 for 540 calories. It's not a good deal. I find myself doing that math at a restaurant, and it's probably not the best thing for your health to be at a restaurant and be like, what's the most calories I can get per dollar? I don't want to necessarily suggest that that's the way I look at a meal, but it is the way I look at, like, Lunchables. It's the way I look at granola bars when I buy them, because I've been eating these Kind bars. Quite expensive. It was like $2 a Kind bar. I was at the grocery store like a month ago. Nature Valley was 4 boxes for $10. It's like 4 boxes for the price of, or a box was like the price of a single Kind bar, essentially. So I was like, I'm gonna switch. I don't like the Nature Valleys as much, but look at the just sheer matter per dollar ratio, and you're already sitting pretty, right? Anyway, what I was gonna say is that both rate of fire and damage, they're both important. They both have, they're both critical, even. It takes a lot for your damage to be so good that your rate of fire doesn't matter. And it takes a lot for your rate of fire to be so good that your damage doesn't matter. But I think as time has gone on, recently at least in Isaac, I find myself, oh, I don't like this. Find myself missing rate of fire more than I miss damage a lot of the time. So having 20/20 with 8 rate of fire associated with it is a really, really good start, I think. I'm a little concerned about dying, more than I'm concerned about the Sunshine Girls. I'm from Vancouver. You get the occasional Japan Droids reference. Yeah, cut me some slack here. Anyway, a little concerned about dying. However, we mostly... that's okay. That's literally the room we were going to walk into anyway. We did it to ourselves by walking into the self-sacrifice room. So it's not like, you got to look at why your HP is in the situation that it's in. If we deliberately damaged ourselves, that doesn't necessarily put us further away from death, admittedly. Try this. I'd rather pay 1 extra cent for a more valuable heart, I would say. And then we'll try this treasure map. Sure. I don't know why I was like taking a wait and see approach. Like, let's see how treasure map works for us. I think I'm pretty aware of how treasure map works for us. You get to see where you're going, which is a nice touch. Anyway, the run is fine. all that restaurant talk, it just comes down to, yeah, the run's good. I am disappointed. Wait, what is this? Oh, it's the what on earth? Your tears eat each other and then explode. This is exquisite. Also, that's exactly what Josh would use to name this item. I have to be honest. When we were in New York City, the most disappointing thing about being in New York City on a trip that was otherwise a lot of fun, we didn't get a chance to eat some of New York City's most iconic food. And I'm gonna give you an anecdote that still makes me a little upset to this day, but it's gotta be said, okay? First, I'll give you, though, the lead-in, which is that we didn't go to McDonald's. We went to Shake Shack, which is like an East Coast sort of like In-N-Out burger joint. It's kind of like, if you're on the East Coast, you've never had Shake Shack, you should have Shake Shack. That's my takeaway. I actually, despite being a diehard West Coast loyalist, I would take Shake Shack. The one time I had it, I would take it over In-N-Out any day of the week. In-N-Out burger, on point. Fries, sawdust. Natural sawdust, I'll give you that. And when they get them animal, people just go, oh, you don't understand, you've got to get them animal style. I've had them animal style, they're better. Still not my cup of tea, let's put it that way. And the Shake Shack fries were unbelievably on point for a fast food fry chain. Fast casual, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, we ate at a place that CNN said had one of the top 10 best burgers in America. I'm starting to think that maybe they hadn't done their journalistic rigor on that one, because the burger was good. Top 10 best burger. I honestly thought the Shake Shack burger was better, but I'm not gonna get to anyway. And we also ate at a place called Joe's Shanghai, which is renowned for its soup dumplings. You know, dumplings you bite into, and then they have essentially soup inside of them. You just kind of drink the soup out and then eat the rest of the dumpling. It's fantastic. Actually, like, the best meal we had in New York, for sure. But we did ask, you're like, why didn't you go get some real pizza? We asked Rob to take us to the best pizza joint in the city. He walked us to a place that ended up being closed. And then he looked at us and said, well, in my defense, it is late. And that takes me to a point that I wanted to say, and statistically speaking, there's probably people watching these from New York. I'm not trying to reignite the East Coast, West Coast rap game feud that caused, you know, so many problems for me personally, especially in the late 80s and early 1990s. New Yorkers, you got a pride problem. You got an ego problem. All the New Yorkers we met, and it wasn't just Rob. Thinking about 3 people specifically, one of whom might also be watching this video, Jason. It was great to hang out. I am putting you and your city on blast a little bit, but I'm doing so with the opportunity for you to defend yourself. New Yorkers, oh Lord, Dr. Fetus. Dr. Fetus, Dr. It ruined our tier synergy. Thanks a lot, Curse of the Unknown. New Yorkers, it seems, from my limited experience, under no circumstance will ever look at their cellular telephone / global positioning service enabled device to tell where something is, when its hours are, what the best route to get there is. Because they're constantly in a battle with other New Yorkers to prove who's more New York. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but everybody we talk to, first off, is like, hey, recommend a good pizza place. Oh, you should go to Joe's Pizza. It's in blah, blah, blah. Oh, that's gonna hurt. But we got the HP anyway. It's in blah, 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 blah. And then we talk to somebody else from New York, and we'd be like, hey, one of our friends recommend Joe's Pizza. Like, is that the best place in New York? They'd be like, Joe's is pretty good. But there's this place 5 blocks from my apartment. It's called Joe's Pizzeria. And that's the real pizza. Then you go to another New Yorker. Hey, we got recommended Joe's Pizza and Joe's Pizzeria. Oh, those places are alright, but you gotta go to Joe Piscatore's. It's in Alphabet City. All you gotta do is walk. It's about 16 blocks. That's the other thing, is that, you know, nobody will ever give you, like, a measurement in distance. They'll only give you a measurement in blocks, and then if you get mad at them for it, they'll try to explain themselves. Well, every avenue block is 100 feet, so you just do the conversion in your head. I liked your city, and I mean that sincerely. And adding an after that kind of undermines it. I did. We went to a bar after Champions of Fire that would not exist in Vancouver, 100%. It had skee ball, arcade machines, cool jukebox, pool tables. The pool tables would exist in Vancouver, but a skee ball machine, absolutely not. So there would be somebody in the House of Commons in the Canadian government that wouldn't be able to sleep at night, wondering, oh my god, alcohol plus skee ball? I mean, that ball is pretty dense. They could use it to crack somebody in the skull with it, and then my constituents, you know, it would be a whole thing. But, and I was very much into that place. But whenever we asked, like, hey, where should we go to eat? We got 20 different recommendations, all of which were the best. And you can't just go, if you're traveling to New York, like, my condolences, because your local friends will not allow you to eat at the second best place for anything in the city. You'd be like, well, what about this pizza place? It's got a 9.9 out of 10 on Google reviews. But you've already lost them because you've used the internet instead of just relying on word of mouth for 80 years. But, you know, what about, apparently this place has the second best pizza in the city, and it's right next to us. It's 2 in the morning. It closes in 1 minute. Should we eat there? Oh, well, I mean, if you gotta, you gotta. But really, we should hop on the 6 train and take the train for 2 hours, go to this place, wait outside for it to open at 9 a.m., and then don't order anything but the pepperoni, okay? Like, it's... The city is... Vancouver has problems. I mean, like, economic inequality problems, severe drug abuse, you know, you can't buy a house here unless you're a quadrillionaire, etc., etc. Many different problems. But when we are snobs, we're snobs to people from other cities. You know, and I think that that's, in a way, kind of healthier, if that makes sense. Like, when people go, like, we're talking to other Vancouverites, and we go, oh, what's your favorite Korean restaurant in the city? And they go, oh, I like Damso. We're like, oh, Damso's cool. I like Chongwonji. They're both good, though. Isn't that cool that we both know the same restaurants? In New York, it seems like all the New Yorkers are constantly trying to one-up each other. I think we want speed here. 1 level cube of meat is fine. I don't think we want... We don't care that much about bookworm because we already have 2020. Is my perspective here, at least. And again, it's part of the unique flavor that makes New York what it is. But also, at the same time, have mercy. Like, the last night that we were there, we literally went to bed without eating after a night of perhaps consuming too many adult beverages. Because we made a mistake. We said, hey, do you know a good pizza place that's still open? And everyone was like, yeah, I got the best pizza place that's still open. And then we walked over there, and it was closed. Again, nobody checks on the freaking telephone. Which, in hindsight, you know what? I should have at that point. But I was perhaps not of sound mind to make that decision. Let's test this right here. We should be able to get something out of this demon judgment. And then the New Yorkers looked at us. It's taken every bit of willpower in my body to not lie to you and say that they said, hey, what are you gonna do? But no, they just went, well, in our defense, it is pretty late. That's why you use your telephone. You type in the name of the pizza place and you go, closed 4 hours ago. Let's not walk them across the whole city to get there. Anyway, being in New York was fun. New Yorkers, though, your lives would be easier. And I understand the resistance to be like, you know, it's the greatest city on earth, don't tell. We've been doing this since New Amsterdam and blah, blah. I get it, okay? Don't let me tell you how to live your lives. But I do think it'd be a little easier on everybody if you put the bravado aside a little bit and just went, you know, let me teach you some phrases I think would be useful in the New Yorker phrase book. This is how people end up getting shanked, dude. This is how geographical rivalries start. But I'm gonna do it anyway. Here's a phrase that I think would benefit you. I don't know. Let me check. Here's some possible implications or opportunities for you to use that when somebody asks you what's the best way to get to a place. But if you just went, I don't know. Let me check, instead of having like a 5-minute argument over, well, oh, yeah, but if you walk to this train, you could get there. Technically, the A train's a little faster, but if you sprint and you get a good traffic light at the corner of Manhattan and Roosevelt, then really, you could probably beat it by 0.04 seconds. Another answer that you could add to your lexicon. Maybe this is just the people I was speaking to. Yeah, that place is pretty good. Here's some possible opportunities for you to use that. When one of your friends suggests eating at a restaurant that, while not the best in the city, is probably still pretty good because of the fact that it's existed for 70 years in the world's, or not the world's largest city, but in America's largest city, a food mecca. Those are the two that, right off the bat, I think. Here's another one. Sure, let's take an Uber. Here's a possible opportunity for you to use that phrase if you're from New York. Hey, that place is 2 miles away. Do you want to walk in the freezing cold, or do you want to take an Uber? You could say, let's just take an Uber. Those are the 3 things I think would make your life easier as New Yorkers, just from an outside perspective. And I'm not insulting the city, and I mean that sincerely. There's a lot of things Vancouver could take away from New York. 24-hour trains is one of them. Absolutely. Skee ball in bars. But you need a little bit more of like a laid-back attitude, I think, would help you out. Without necessarily compromising the unique character that makes New Yorkers New Yorkers. I appreciate a lot of New York. You know what I really appreciate about New York? People are friendly as long as you don't get in their way. That's an attitude that I agree with 100%. Dude, we are crushing this. Not necessarily doing a great job of getting the Lost unlocked, which at this point we should probably just bite the bullet and, you know, do the regular unlock, but I'm having a fun time regardless, so. We might have dropped something that we could have gotten. Whatever. Like, that's... I think a lot of big cities are like that, and Vancouver, well, not necessarily a big city, is sort of like that as well. But in New York, you know, everyone's pretty nice. But then if you get in their way, when they pass you, they go, and I'm like, yeah, that's the way it should be. not to be rude, but I can understand if you're in a city where like you're surrounded by tourists all the time and you're like, I gotta go to work, and everybody else is like, oh my god, is that a Dwayne Reed pharmacy? I gotta take 12 photos of it. You'd be like, hey, get out of my way. Anyway, so there's the bulk of this episode. It's apparently gonna be a New York episode. Again, I'm not telling you how to live your life. I'm just, you cannot deny though where my anger, to some extent, or self-righteousness is coming from. After a long night, we're gonna take it all. After a long night, just wanted like any slice of pizza. You can't just be like, yeah, I'll walk you to a great pizza place, and then when it's closed, be like, well, it is pretty late. We've invented technologies that can deal with this and save us all these problems. I think you're so close to having it like almost all figured out. If we merge a little East Coast and West Coast sensibility, we can make some magic happen. A bustling metropolis. Anyway, let's move on here. So again, this has kind of become not really like a great lost attempt. But I kind of am okay with it. I'm just having a fun time, like, winning some runs. And the last two have been pretty darn strong, so it does aid morale in that sense. To be real with you, I don't really want to fight the Hush. But I suffer from kind of, like, some guilt when I have a run that's this fast and I don't fight the Hush. I'd rather fight Delirium, but we can't guarantee that Delirium... We can't guarantee that Delirium would happen. Or will happen, rather. I'll tell you what. We might want to pick up that Eternal Heart if we don't get a deal with the Devil, or we don't find an item on the deal with the Devil we like. If we do like an item on the deal with the Devil, we might not want to take it so we can keep permanent Polaroid invincibility, or like empty vessels functionality, for example, but let's see. Well, yeah, we don't want any of this. It's garbage. I'll fight the Hush. I mean, we got plenty of time here, plenty of power. I get in trouble sometimes with people who are locals to cities, and I understand. I genuinely understand. I went to LA for E3. I don't really like LA. And they go, and I understand why. Does this actually work, by the way? It does not. But kidney stone kind of stinks anyway in this day and age. Because, you know, there's like tens of millions of people, well, not tens, but like millions of people live in LA. And you go, I was there for 10 seconds, I don't really like it. You know, it's an ignorant statement to say right off the bat. Mom transformation, ace of clubs, jumper cables, and then some donations happening. And in particular, we've gone off on Boston a couple times. If you live there and you love it, fantastic. It's not my favorite city in the world. I find the service workers in the city very curt. If you're into that, more power to you. But people go like, hey, well, maybe you guys are being jerks. We were being personable adults, patronizing establishments, and every place we went to would be like, hey, can I have the carnitas torta? Sure, buddy, yeah, whatever. All right, so see you whenever. You know, you got a little bit of that vibe. What I will say is that I didn't get much of that from New York. When I was in New York, I was like, I like this. That's why my jeering comes from a place of respect. Unbelievably, like, beautiful landscapes. Like architecture, that is. And overall, kind of respected the vibe I got from the locals around the city. Just a couple of little things that, me personally, I was like, this is weird. The same thing, I mean, you could say the same thing about Vancouver for sure. Vancouver's got some weirdos. People come to Vancouver, they go, what do you do in Vancouver? Like, we're like here on vacation, what do we do? We go, well, you like, okay, so you gotta go to Stanley Park. It's like one of the most beautiful parks on planet Earth. You gotta go to Stanley Park. Okay, so you've gone to Stanley Park, what's next? Well, you should, like, definitely, I mean, like, so, like, Seattle's not that far away, and, like, if you want, you could drive up the Sea to Sky Highway to Whistler, and it's like, everything else is just, like, it's a very pleasant city to be in. It's just not, like, to live in. It's just not, like, a great tourist destination. Sometimes people are like, what do you do here? I don't really know. I work and I live my life, and then I go outside and I go, man, the mountains are beautiful and the weather's nice today. It's not really, I mean, if you took like a $500 flight and bought a hotel to be here, it's a different situation. It's just a pleasant city to inhabit. I didn't feel that way about New York. I was like, I didn't feel it was unpleasant. I just felt like there's a lot of stuff to do. There was so much stuff to do that we got paralyzed and essentially didn't have time to do anything. So yeah, there's stuff to people. I don't live that nightlife lifestyle, but apparently Vancouver nightlife is also just horrendous. I can understand that. There is I mean, to give you an idea of what legislation is like here, well, because if you're poking fun at other cities, you got to be able to poke fun at yourself as well. There is a bar here that's video game themed, but you can't play video games at it because there's like something in the liquor bureau's like board of conduct that you can't have gaming and alcohol mixed, with the exception of like pinball machines, because gaming is still under the same jurisdictional umbrella as casino style gambling. So you need to have like a different license for that that's much harder to get, or, you know, much more expensive or something. So you can go here and you can like, it's a cool place, and they say it gets colder. No, it's a cool place, and you can like, you know, watch esports events there, and they do like gaming meetups and stuff like that there, but you can't actually like hunker down really and play like a, you know, sit down on a couch and be like, hey, we need 3 more for Super Smash Brothers. Anybody in? Because like, well, our liquor license will get revoked, so. Bummer, dude. So yeah, I mean, every city's got problems. And I think it takes sometimes, you know, going to a city as someone from a different place to help you recognize not only the unique quirks of that city, but also the unique quirks of your own. Up to the cathedral, shall we? So yeah, know that it's coming from a place of respect, New Yorkers. Bostonians, it's not just because you beat us in the 2011 Stanley Cup Finals. I just don't get it, all right? I don't understand the charm. I'm willing to accept that I just don't understand it, but there is some charm to it. Because I talk to people and they go, I really like Boston. And I go, I don't understand. I grew up kind of out east, not in the US, but like in Canada. So I understand, like, you know, some people have an attachment to the winter and they derive part of their identity from the fact that, like, I live in a place where it's cold, and they, you know, yeah, well, see, these West Coast babies don't even know how to shovel snow for 45 minutes to get to work. I get it. Yeah, well, why don't you cry into your soy lattes? You know, there's a certain, like, Northeastern hardiness, but I just didn't. We walked into, like, a restaurant. They'd be like, hey, do you guys have, like, a table for 6? Yeah, let me check. Sorry, boss, should have called in a reservation. Oh, well, I'm sorry that I looked at your menu and thought it looked nice, because apparently I was sorely mistaken. But we don't need to go down this road necessarily. Everybody else is cool, okay? My problem with LA is essentially just the lack of public transportation and the absurd traffic, which I'm sure are not related whatsoever. Everything else, more power to you. And the weather. Yeah, and like the attitude of the people there. But apart from that, it's all good, dude. The other thing is, I'm not trying to get you to break up with the city in which you live. If you love it, that's the most important thing. Probably people out there watching this, they're like, you know, I live in Boise, Idaho, and I love it. Dude, if you found the nexus of your values and your family, your roots, your job, etc., by all means. I'm just giving my own opinion. Not saying everybody should live here, because please God, if you don't want to live in Vancouver, but you live here, please move away. It's so hard to live here. Everybody wants to. That's not bragging. It's like, it probably used to be bragging like 6 or 7 years ago. Now people are like, please God, leave. So that maybe the housing prices come down and I could buy a sandwich for less than $12. Alright, we don't need blood bag. It's not to say we couldn't get use out of it, so I actually... Oh, but we shouldn't do it like this, because we're gonna... Yeah, okay, you get the idea. So, sure, work towards Beelzebub. Our luck is good enough to make tough love decent. Grab a card. Hermit, not worth it. Keep Perthrow. No, use Perthrow. You can reroll 2 things with Perthrow, I think that's okay. We get Cricket's Body, that scares me. Sister Maggie, sure, whatever. Use this. Curse of the Blind. Not as big of a fan of that. D10. Gimpy. Gimpy's great here. Guillotine is scary, but probably fine. Isaac's Tears. Kind of interesting. I mean, it's better than the D10 in all likelihood, so, you know, like, why not? It's taken me a minute to figure out, like, if we're safe or screwed. And we're definitely safe. Wasn't always like 100%. But yeah. We're gonna be fine. Especially with 10 lives. It's definitely one of those situations where we only need one. A chip in a chair, as it were. Sure, whatever. We only need one in order to win. We essentially probably need to shoot Blue Baby like 2 times. I would prefer to stop walking into enemies, but we also will probably stay pretty close to full HP because of Gimpy. Whether it's Red Hearts or Spirit Hearts, but I mean, look at that. It's working out just fine. We're gonna be okay. We're still gonna be okay. Probably should have tried to double it, I guess. So 2 times was not correct. It's more like 12 times, but still getting the job done. No delirium fight and just a really nice, casual kind of Isaac run. I hope you enjoyed it. Maybe next time we'll make more of an effort to unlock the Lost and get working on that. But for now, thanks for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed the episode. If you did, click the like button. Helps out a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.